as I've grown sort of to use tarot more, and as I've sort of like aged a little bit, like mature milk. Hi, it's Matt from Tubby Tarot. Welcome to another 10 Talk Tuesday. So today I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people who are just getting into collecting tarot cards will find interesting. I want to give you my top 5 tips for collecting tarot cards. Now, it doesn't only go for tarot cards. If you're doing any sort of collection, if you're collecting books, if you're collecting stamps, any collection, but this is aimed specifically at you guys who are starting off with a small tarot collection, because I know that often starting with a collection of tarot can become quite daunting. You will buy whatever looks pretty. You will buy whatever your friends tell you to buy. You will start buying for the sake of buying. And tarot cards are very expensive. They're also the kind of thing, unlike stamps, where you use them, and the more you use them, the more energy you put into them. So you have to buy stuff that you're going to use, and you have to buy stuff that you can resonate with. Also, don't forget that certain decks have certain energies. So a dark deck will have a heavier energy than, say, a fairy deck or something like that. So I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to start your collection, all right, and what to do thinking forward as you go along collecting cards. So your very first tip is, and this is probably the most important one, collect what you like. It's pointless just collecting fairy decks when you don't really like fairy decks. You kind of rather prefer, say, decks that look sort of medieval or antique kind of things. That's the kind of deck you resonate. But because your friend said those fairy decks are really cool, or because the fairy decks are really cheap, you go and buy them. They end up sitting on your shelf and you never use them. Simply because they're not really what you care about. So always try to buy decks that you really care about. And you will find over the years that you collect that this might change. You might start off like I started off when I first started collecting decks. I started off by being very attracted to dark decks. And so my small collection of starter decks were all dark decks. And as I've grown sort of to use tarot more, and as I've sort of like aged a little bit, like mature milk, I have found that my tastes have changed, and I now like to work with a lot lighter decks. I'm particularly drawn to Celtic fairy, that sort of medieval fairy kind of Celtic thing. So your tastes will change, but always start by choosing decks that you connect with, that you really, really care about. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is decide on a budget. Decide on a budget and stick to the budget, okay? Stick to your budget, because it's so easy to be caught up in this kind of hype. The more you've got, the more you want. It's like collecting crystals. You know, I'm sure you've all seen the meme with the guy who's got one small crystal and says, "Oh, you can come home with me." And then in the next sort of picture, there's this guy standing going, and his entire house is full of crystals. It's the same with tarot decks. You will find that the more you've got, the more you want. Kind of like tattoos in a way, I suppose. It's something that you need to look at and stick to. I personally can only afford X, Y, and Z to spend on books every month. I can only afford X, Y, and Z to spend on tarot. One month I might buy a tarot deck, one month I might buy a book or two, but I have a specific budget set aside every month. Or you could say, okay, once every 2 months or once every 3 months, I'm going to buy myself a really cool deck of cards, tarot deck. And then you can put aside money for that. Don't fall into the trap of using money that could be spent elsewhere in your life for tarot decks, okay? You're not here to use your rent money to pay for tarot decks, okay? That is not how to do it. Stick to your budget. Then you need to buy the very best quality that you can. So, for instance, let's say you really want the cat tarot, okay? And you see the cat tarot brand new on Amazon and it's $25, okay? and you think, wow, that's a lot of money to pay for a little cat tarot deck. What you then do is go and look for your secondhand stuff. Go and look on, I don't know what you guys have got overseas. Go look on like a secondhand platform, or you might even go into your witchy shop or your crystal shop or your shop that sells tarot cards, and you might say, have you got secondhand decks? And most of those shops actually do sell secondhand tarot decks. Have a look for that secondhand tarot deck. Have a look at what other decks they've got. You'll be surprised at how reduced the price is on a secondhand tarot deck. But the other thing is look for the best quality. So if you can only at this moment afford a tatty old tarot deck that's got an elastic band wrapped around it, no box, but that's really, that deck resonates with you, buy it. In a year's time or 2 years' time, when you have the money, you can then upgrade, pass that tatty deck on, and buy yourself the new deck or a better quality deck. And I think that goes with any collection. I know I do that with my book collection. Okay, so think about that. Buy secondhand if you can't afford the new one. Buy the very best quality that you can, and then you can upgrade later. All right. And this does bring me to the point that I've just made. You can buy secondhand decks. A lot of people who are in the tarot community say, no, you can't use secondhand decks because they're imbued with the energy of the previous owner. Then that to me is like saying, well, you can't use a deck because it's imbued with the energy of the printing press that made it. It's a lot of crap. Okay. What you do is you simply cleanse that deck like crystals. Okay, like you get crystals, you can inherit crystals from a family member. You could go to the wherever and go and buy crystals. The crystals have got energy. What do you do with the crystals before you use them? You cleanse them. Exactly the same with a tarot deck. Cleanse it. Okay, buy secondhand tarot decks. They're much cheaper, all right, than brand new ones. We all want a brand new tarot deck. We all watch the videos where people do unboxings and they get this amazing deck and they get their knife and they open it and there's this wonderful package that's a tarot deck that's all sealed, and we get all excited and we open it. Guys, not many of those people actually pay for those decks. A lot, please, I'm not saying you don't, but a lot of those people are sponsored because they have a lot of followers. So the printing houses, the publishers will actually send them free decks to get them to put them on their channel, okay, to kind of review them, if you will. So don't always believe that those people have gone out and spent hundreds of dollars buying new decks. They probably haven't. They've probably been sent those decks by the publishers. And it's wonderful, wonderful to have brand new deck. Of course it is. It's fantastic. But we don't all have that kind of money. I certainly don't. So try to buy secondhand decks that fit your budget. If you are happy to go and spend $30 on a tarot deck, good for you. You know, if you've got that kind of money, fantastic. Me, I don't really have that. So secondhand, yes, you can buy it. And lastly, and this is, I think, again, it kind of links to my first point, and that is keep it fun. This is not a serious thing, guys. You don't have to go and look for the darkest deck because you want to do spells with it. Keep it fun, keep it light, keep it an ongoing thing. Be happy buying decks. Keep it within your mind that I'm gonna buy stuff that I care about. This is so exciting for me, man. And go to sort of spiritual fairs and go online and do a bit of research and keep it fun. Look for fun decks. You can even get fun dark decks if you're into that sort of thing, or fun medieval decks. There is so much out there. Chat to your friends about it. Join a forum. Go on to join a couple of Facebook groups. Make it fun. Make it interesting. Connect with people that are into the same stuff. Connect with people who are collecting decks. You know, connect with people who perhaps only have one deck. You learn so much, and keep it light, keep it fun. There you go, 5 rather simple tips for collecting tarot cards. Hopefully that's helped you. I'm Nat from Tubby Tarot, and I'll see you next Tuesday for some more 10 Talk.